In the previous class, we have uh, just gone through these various concepts like entity sets, types, and attributes, entity type sets, and some initial draft design of company database, followed by some relationship types and relationship sets, roles and structural constraints, and other concepts like relationship degree and some weak entity types, some notations on ER diagram we will observe in today's class. Okay, so very important thing is first try to understand when we try to design a relationship or when we try to build an application, how the relation should be holding in the data. That is more and more prominent in our database design. Okay, so in our textbook, we are following the constraints or following the company database. So everywhere we talk about company database in our whole syllabus. So in company database, what happens first, try to understand the initial design of the company database. So a company holds certain departments, and each department holds employees associated with that. And see, I will try to show you pictorially how things will happen in your company database. So this is employee, this is project, and this is dependents. Okay, now company holds certain departments. Okay, now employees are working in department, or employees are associated with a department. So department controls projects. Employees work on projects. Employees have dependents. Now, this is like just some simple assumption of how exactly the data is related. Okay. Now, department has like attributes like or certain information about department is department number, department name, manager. Okay. Now here employee, in the sense you have employee ID, name, and the number in which particular department the employee is working. All right. Now in project number you have, sorry, in project you have project number, project name, followed by D number. Now employee are associated with projects. We will try to create one more table called as works on, in which multiple projects can be assigned for multiple employees. So also multiple people can be working for multiple projects. So in order to do that, I will take P number here, employee ID here, so that I can write multiple times employee as well as project number. In dependents, I will identify each employee or each dependent with his employee ID followed by dependent name. Okay. Now try to understand certain things. Certain things in the sense, now this is the just draft. There are multiple attributes. I am not going in detail about each particular say each entity. Now in these things, try to observe the things. In see, D number can be repeated. Now why repeated? Because as the initial design of company says, I will have n number of departments. That means Company will specify that how many departments it require. Minimum it will be 4, maximum maybe n. But to run any company, normally we maintain minimum departments is 4. Okay, so in 4 departments, at least I will have some n number of employees. Imagine in each department, if I want some minimum as a 10 employees, maximum as 10 n number of employees in each department. Now, one major important thing what we try to observe is any employee should be associated with only one department. That means one employee should belong to only one department. Okay, employee cannot be belong to multiple departments. Okay, now same way employee and project. So n number of employees will be working in one project. So also one employee will be assigned multiple projects. Okay, try to understand that. So at least one project will be assigned for employee, and in one project there will be n number of employees working. We need to understand the concept with respect to both employee as well as project or any other entities in that matter. Okay, so dependent, department and employee, if I consider, I will talk about department also, I will talk about employee also. So when it comes to employee, how many employees should be associated with how many departments, like that. So one employee will be only associated with one department, or one employee should belong to only one department. And how many employees can work in each department? There will be n number of departments. Sorry, n number of employees in each department. Okay. Now, what I'm trying to specify here is some ratios, like 1 is to n is to 1. See, don't worry about these vice versa things. Vice versa, it's always same. Don't worry about that. Okay. Now, one more thing. Now, when it comes to project and department, at least some projects will be associated with department, and our department will control projects. At least some m number of projects are controlled by n number of departments. So I'm trying to assign one ratio here is m is to n for department and project. That means m number of departments can control n number of projects. It's not mandatory that one project will be controlled by one department. It may be with multiple departments. And so also department will not have only single project, they will have multiple projects. So one department will be controlling m number of projects. So n number of projects carried out by n number of departments, like that. Okay, so the ratio will be 1 is to, sorry, m is to n is to 1. One more thing, how many managers will be in each department? Definitely there will be only one person as working as manager in a department. So only one employee will be acting as a manager in the department. So for how many departments he will be the manager? He will be manager for only one department. So one employee will be the manager of one department. Now that means this employee and department are associated with multiple relationships. One in the form of employee and department, and one more in the form of MGR and relationship. Okay, no matter, manager means is also one of the employee. So this manager what you have here, for namesake this is manager, but to relate, this will relate to employee ID. Okay, so this department number anyhow is related with this relationship. Correct. Now, this manager in department table, I will write it as manager, but that manager will hold a relationship with this employee ID, stating that this employee ID is the manager of this particular department. So this will hold two relationships, one as an employee, one as the manager. I hope I am making it clear. So we have different types of ratios, and these ratios are called as cardinality ratios. Are you understanding what are the cardinality ratios? So cardinality ratios are the ratios which specifying the relationship occurrence in the entities. I repeat again, cardinality ratios are the ratios which tell the occurrences of uh, entities relationship. Okay, now if I tell 1 is to n, how that you will say, how that you read, that you read 1 is to n. So department and employee is written as 1 is to n. Then how you read this? You read like in department 1 is to n. So employee will be minimum employee will be employees will be holding this value, and departments will be holding this. Okay, understanding? Understanding? For each one department, I will have n number of employees. Employees at least minimum will be only one belong to one department. Are you understanding cardinality ratios? Yes. Any doubts in this
Yes, sir.
cardinality ratio?
Yes, sir.
See, left hand side and right hand side, I have two different entities or two different tables. So in two different tables, in what way they are relating, or in what occurrence the relationship holds, that is called as cardinality ratio. Okay, understanding cardinality ratio? Now there will be, you can say 1 is to 1, 1 is to n, m is to n, and so on. Normally we follow these three. 1 is to 1 means one employee belonging to only one department. One employee will be belonging to your only one department. In one department, there will be how many employees? N number of employees. So for each department, one employee will be associated, and in one department there will be n number of employees. Please do not confuse. Employee belonging to department will be only one, but in one department there will be n number of people. Okay, I'll give you a simple example. Okay, consider your birthday, correct? How many people you will be born on one day, correct? Say yes or no. Say yes or no.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you will be born on one day. On the same date, it is that you are the only one born, or
No,
many
sir.
people? Many people, bro.
Yes, sir.
So whichever day you were born, you will be born on that day only. But on that day, how many people will be born? Yeah, number of people will be born. Understood? Understood? This is very simple. Okay? Okay? One more example. Imagine you watch a movie in theater, correct? How many movies you can watch simultaneously? I need your response
Only
as
one.
well, Baba.
Only one, sir.
Very good, very good. Only one you can watch. But at the meantime, you are the only person to see, or there will be n number of people.
N number of people.
Very good. N number of people. Yes, correct. No. Try to imagine you are sitting in one theater now. Are you in a theater? Imagine you are in theater now. You're watching a movie. Okay. So when you're watching a movie, you are simultaneously you're watching only one movie. But one movie is watched by how many people? N number of people. So you are associated with only one movie, but in that movie there are n number of people. So that gives me what cardinality ratio? That gives me 1 is to n. Okay, you are the only one person. You are associated with how many movies? One movie. Okay, you are associated with how many movies now? Only one movie. But in that movie, how many people are there? N number of people are there. So what we will understand? We will understand the cardinality ratio is 1 is to n. Am I clear? Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, understood. How we can say 1 is to n. Now similarly, you can say 1 is to 1. How can we write 1 is to 1? How can we specify that 1 is to 1? Can anybody give an example like that? Yes, 1 is to 1. Come on, give me one more example how we can say 1 is to 1. Come on, say something. See, you will be, I have given you the example of a manager. In one department, one person will be acting as a manager. So manager in the sense, how many people? How many people? Only one person. One person will be acting as a manager. Okay. So for how many departments he will be the manager?
N number of.
One member. Only one member. He will be the only one member acting as a manager. Understood? Understood. This is 1 is to 1. For one department, there should be only one person acting as a manager, and only one person will be acting as a manager. For one department, only one person. Okay. For one department, one person acting as manager, and only one employee will be acting as a manager. So you should think two ways. One as an employee, one as a manager. So for one department, how many managers? Only one manager. How many employees will be acting as manager for one department? Of course, one. So definitely the value is what? 1 is to 1. Understood? Understood?
Yes, sir.
Understood? Now, similarly, can you tell me 1 is to n, one more type of example with respect to employee and dependent? Did you get my question, Papa? Just tell me how employee and dependent can be related. You need to answer this.
One,
Take your time.
one,
Yes? Afrin, you're saying
one
something?
employee. Naima.
Who is this? Please give me your name, Baba. Aima?
Naima.
Is it? Your voice is cracking, ma. Yes? Yeah. Come on, Naima, tell me. Others, give me some response. I need interactive session, right? Yeah. Consider
One
about
employee can have n number of
one,
dependents.
one employee can have n number of dependents. What is the vice versa? One employee can have n number of children, correct? What is the reverse way? You told about 1 is to n, correct? So n number of children is satisfied, but the reverse way, why it is called as 1? You understood my question? Come on, think and say. For one parent, how many children can be?
N children.
N number of children. For each children, how many parent will be?
Only one.
Only one. So it is 1 is to n. Very good. I like this interaction, ma. Very good. Thank you so much. See, understood the concept. Why it is 1 is to n? For one parent, there will be n number of children. But for each child, there will be only one parent. So it is called as 1 is to n. Understood? Understood the concept? Very simple, no? Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Very good. Now, we will talk about m is to n. I hope I am making with clear all the points. See, there are only 3 structural cardinality ratios. 1 is to n, 1 is to 1, and m is to n. You can interchange these however you want, absolutely no problem. We can work on them. Okay, don't worry, only these 3 cardinality ratios we are studying everywhere. Everywhere we'll study these 3 type of cardinality ratios. Sometimes we interchange this and study, absolutely no problem. We can interchange, no problem. Sometimes we replace this mn and mn with ab or x and y, no problem. We can take any alphabets or numbers just to give us some kind of understandings. All right, okay. Now what about m is to n? Can you take any example and just tell out? Yes, anybody take one example and tell me about m is to n?
Many branches have many employees.
Many branches have many employees, okay, but each employee will be associated with only one branch, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Say I'm writing something. Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
What did I write?
Subject student.
Okay. Can we say something which is related to m is to n? How can I convince this m is to n with respect to these? Yes, does it make sense? See, think of simultaneous. Okay, okay. Now simultaneously, how
Yes,
many
sir.
subjects you have? 6 subjects you have, correct? Or rather 8 subjects you have, to be more specific, correct? So in 8 subjects, how many students are studying 8 subjects? Multiple students. So m number of students study n number of subjects, correct? It's not that single term both the sides. Okay, okay, understanding? It is again one more example we can also quote. Anybody have any example in your minds? Yes, Chinmay, are you there? No.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Take some think on some example and let me know, ma. Mayur, you are there, Baba?
Yes, sir.
Think on some example and let me know, Baba. Sanjana, you're there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Can you just think on one example and tell me how can we relate this M is to N in a different example, different way?
Sir, many people read many newspapers, sir.
Okay, many people read many newspapers. Tell me which is more interesting. Who reads newspaper, Baba? You ask your friends who are in the online right now. You pose a question that how many of you read how many newspapers? Yes, Amit?
Sir, then many people visit many websites, sir. Different
Very
websites.
good. Very good. Many people visit many websites. Very good. Any other example? Okay, fine. Amit, I give it to you. You're absolutely correct. What about others? Say something. Give some example randomly. I don't want the technical answer. Just tell me in a more vague manner. No problem. I understand.
Many people go to many libraries.
Okay, very good. Many people go to many libraries. No, no, you please, you're absolutely correct, but change the same thing in a different way. Many people read many books in one library. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
You can't go to multiple libraries, but you can read multiple books in one library. That we tell. It will be more appropriate. Okay? Correct.
Okay.
Fine. Okay. Some more, some more, some more.
Many students with different branches in one college.
Many students.
With different branches in one college.
Yeah, many branches in one college. One college, one is to n. One college can have n number of branches. One is to n. I
Many
can say
people
it.
eat.
Colleges can have M number of students.
Yes, m number of branches have n number of students. Correct. Correct.
Sir,
Yes. Adesh. Yes.
many people eat different food items in one restaurant.
Very good. Very good. Absolutely brilliant. Many people have different dishes in one hotel. Correct. Correct. What more? See
Many
these
people visit different places in the same train. They travel through the same train.
same train. It is one is to n. One train carrying. Okay, you
Many.
want to club many multiple trains traveling by multiple people. Very good. Correct. See, you cannot say here database is not existing or what all examples you told, everywhere database is required. Everywhere database is running, existing. Correct or no? You have Facebook accounts? How many don't have Facebook accounts? Maybe meager in number, right? After you're saying something?
I don't have, sir.
You don't have, very good. It's okay. It's your personal choice. I am not interfering in that. But normally what we see, almost everybody have a Facebook account. Almost. Some meager number I don't want to point out. Why I'm saying is you have multiple people and multiple people have multiple friends. Example, Mr. Yan. Multiple people have multiple friends. Correct or no? Okay, so you guys are understanding how to correlate the entities with respect to different terms. So cardinality ratios, have you understood? So cardinality ratios, we try to understand like this. Now, coming to advancement of cardinality ratios, we have one more word called as structural constraints. Please understand what are structural constraints. Now, structural constraints are bit add-on or adds on to your cardinality ratios. So cardinality ratios, what you said, it is just one uh, number between two entities. Okay. Now suppose I have E1 as one entity, E2 as entity in the sense, if I write 1 is to n in the sense, here imagine I will consider this as an employee, sorry, let me consider this as department, because one department will have n number of employees, no? Okay. Now how you read this 1 is to n? In one department, I will have n number of employees. So employee will be belonging to only one department. There are n number of employees in each department, you will read, correct? Now, structural constraints are little bit add-on to cardinality ratios. So, cardinality ratios are 1 is to n, or n is to n, 1 is to 1, or m is to n. Okay. So, in these, try to add on maximum value and minimum value. That is the meaning of, sorry, it should be minimum. So structural constraints are adds on to cardinality ratios. So when you have 1 is to n, 1 is to n is the cardinality ratio. So in this cardinality ratio, try to bring in the maximum and minimum value adding to this cardinality ratio. Then you will be saying that as structural constraints. Now, please try to understand what is the meaning of structural constraint. Constraint means what? It is the procedure or protocol or rules specified. It is a kind of fixed procedure. I have to follow these procedures. I have to follow these rules. These are my protocols. Okay, so what are the protocols now? That protocol should satisfy with respect to an application, or with respect to a structure, or with respect to a functionality, or with respect to a module, or with respect to a kind of say structure, a model or design. Okay, structure means maybe with respect to an application, maybe with respect to a model, or with respect to a kind of some uh, uh, say module or functionality, like that. Understood? Now how do you add on the minimum value and maximum value for cardinality ratio? That is the structural constraint. Okay, now try to understand. Now I have n is to 1 is to n cardinality ratio for employee and department. Before we go ahead, is this clear? Clearly, you should understand this. Yes, we understood this. Then I can go ahead with telling you on cardinality structural constraints, because structural constraint is the add-on to cardinality ratio. Any more doubts you have before we go ahead, or any comments you have? Is everything clear before we go ahead? Come on, say something. Yes? Anybody, one or two students, just raise your voice and just let me know. Sahana Hosman is there? No?
Once more you explain, sir. Structural constraints.
I'll let you know. Structural constraints, I have to start now. Cardinality ratio, is that understood? Because when you understand clearly cardinality ratio, then we can jump into structural constraints. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Structural constraints, I have to explain. I have not started structural constraints yet. How to give minimum value and maximum value, I will tell you in detail. But before we talk about structural constraints, do you have any comments or doubts on cardinality ratios? Once cardinality ratios are clearly understood, then we can apply structural constraints. Okay, so I took somebody's
Okay, sir.
name, right? So I took somebody's name, right? It was Sahana Osmani. I don't know. She's not responding. Sunidhi, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Vaibhav, you are there, Baba? Ayush, you are there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, any comments before we go ahead? Yes?
No, sir.
No. Okay, fine. Now, it's very simple. When things are clear with cardinality ratios, remember cardinality ratios are not changed. Structural constraints may differ or may change with respect to an application. Okay. How I want to build the application, depending on the requirement of the application, I can change my structural constraints. But remember, cardinality ratios cannot be changed. Okay, how I will tell you. Okay, now in this, is this visible, guys? Is this visible? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Now cardinality ratios will not change, correct? But structural constraints can change. How they can change? Let us observe now. Now, what did I say? 1 is to n. Employee, see, when I'm talking with respect to department, I will talk in terms of employee in department side. I will talk about this value with respect to department. This 1 is of value of whom? Employee. Stating what? This is the requirement from this. Okay. So I need to every one employee should be belonging to only one department. So in one department, how many employees can be? N number of employees. So the cardinality ratio was 1 is to n. Correct? Now, in this, what it means, in one department, only one employee should be associated, or one employee should belong to only one department. Now, in this, what will be the minimum value? That means one employee should belong to minimum how many departments, maximum how many departments? One employee should belong to only one department. Okay, one employee should belong to how many? Only one department. Minimum how much? Maximum how much? Anybody have the answer? Please think.
Only one, sir.
Very good. Only one minimum value. Maximum value what?
One.
Very good. We have to have only one value there. One, because minimum how many departments should an employee belong? Only one.
One
Maximum
department.
how many? How many departments should an employee should belong? It is only one. So here this will be 1, 1. Here. Now come to the other side. The other side is what? Minimum how many employees are required? Maximum how many? Maximum is no doubt that I will have n number of employees. Correct? N number of employees I can have in each department. Minimum employees how many? It again differs with respect to application to application. Sometimes in worst case, I will say some 6 or 4. Again, this number varies with respect to the application. One company says, I want only 4 people in my organization, in each department. That's sufficient, they say. Understanding? In a post office, how many people will be a simple post office which is in a more remote areas? Hardly few people, 2 or 3 or 4 people maximum. Correct, like that. So minimum 4 employees will be there to run a department. Maximum there will be n number of department, n number of employees in a department. Again, this number changes. Remember, cardinality ratio will not change, but structural constraints change with respect to the application. Understood? Understood the structural constraint?
Yes, sir.
Understood? Any doubts before we, I'll take one more example. Have you understood clearly this? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Gayatri, you're there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Tushar, you're there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now try to understand. Now bring in some more example. We need to understand no structural constraints for 1:1 we applied. So we will take some other thing. We will take manager and employee. Manager is with respect to department manager. Now it is 1:1. Why 1:1 it was? Because for one department there will be only one manager. So also how many employees will be acting as manager? Only one person for one department. Okay. Okay. Now this was 1:1 normally in our cardinality ratio. Now you guys tell me what will be the minimum value and maximum value for both. Yes. Come on. It is very simple.
One, sir.
What one? Where one? You're right. How?
One manager will be there for one department, sir.
Okay.
And only one employee will be one manager, sir.
So you want to say that here also 1,1, here also 1,1. Correct? Correct. This is what you said,
Yes,
ma.
sir. Yes, sir.
So this is max value. This is minimum value. So how many employees if I should act as a manager for one department? Minimum is also one, maximum is also one. There will be only one manager, no n number of managers, right?
Yes,
Think
sir.
of only one department. Don't tell now in a company there will be n number of departments, in n number of departments, n number of managers. Correct. But take only one department we're talking on. Now, how many employees will be acting as manager? Only one. How many managers will be there? For each department, there will be one. So 1, 1, both sides. Clear? Clear? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, only few people
Yes, sir.
are saying.
So,
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
okay,
sir.
thank you so much. Okay, again, we will have one small discussion on employee and project. The cardinality ratio was m:n. So now what will be the maximum value and what will be the minimum value? Yes, can anybody think and let me know? So remember, whenever you are talking about structural constraints, please remember that can change. With respect to your assumption, it may definitely change. Understanding? That will definitely change with respect to your idea of your, say, of your application. Depending on our application, it will change. So you have to properly justify when you are specifying structural constraints. Okay. Now, come on, tell me. I have two more things to complete. Employee and dependents also are there. I'll complete both, then we shall go back to the other topics. Come on. Say something.
One department will have a number of projects.
A. Sorry. Of course, they have n number of projects, but minimum how many? Maximum how many?
Sir, minimum
1:1.
one, sir.
Yes? Does it make sense? Does it make sense?
Yes, sir.
What it means? I have written like that. Now I will change. Does this make sense? I will try to trick in such a way that you guys should understand even whatever changes we make in a particular, say, any concept which we try to change, we need to understand, right? Now, what does 4 comma 7 or 4 comma m and 4 comma 7 says?
Minimum four departments should have minimum 7 projects, sir.
Okay, so that means if one department should control m number of projects, in that minimum 4 project sheet should control. Correct? So department should at least control 4 minimum m maximum projects. Correct? That's what the answer is. The other side, one project should be at least controlled by 7 departments at minimum, and maximum is n. Understanding? Understanding? We can change this value depend on our assumption, but this core cardinality ratio will not change. Okay? So you guys are understanding structural constraints as well? So structural constraints, is it understood? Yes? Okay, I forgot to continue one more last thing. Yeah. So I have employee here and dependent here. So it was 1:n. Correct? What did I write? Is it correct?
Yes, sir.
Correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Think and tell. Yes? Did I do some mistake there? Ankita? Lata?
1:1.
Lakshmi, you said? Lakshmi, you said no? Did I make any mistake here?
1:1, I think.
That means one employee should have only one dependent? Yes or no? Say yes or no.
Yes, sir.
Or it can be 1:1 then. Others look into this, just tell me what is the mistake in this, or it is correct. Yes. Yes, yes, come on, say something. Why, how, is this absolutely correct, or what's wrong in this? What's wrong in this? Just think and let me know.
Sir, one
1:1.
employee can't have many departments, sir.
It is dependents. I am so sorry. It is dependents, not departments. It is dependents. Children. This is absolutely correct or wrong, or something has to be manipulated. How? Come on, think something. You should be more smarter to think.
N, sir. 1
Huh?
is to n. 1 is to n.
It is written 1:n only, no?
1, 1,
Correct,
7.
sir.
It's correct, sir.
Bola, correct. Afrin, you said as correct. Someone has said slowly in midst of you. Sanjana, you said? Somebody who said I.
Sir, it's me, Shivani.
Okay, no problem. Thank you, Shivani. Anybody else saying something? Is it correct or something are to be manipulated? How many feel it is correct? Raise your hands. You have an option in front of your eyes. Raise your hands. Shivani saying yes, correct. What more? Okay, Afrin, you're saying, what about others? There are around about 35 plus in the class. 38 students in the class. Come on. You guys feel that it is correct. Ayush, you feel it is 1:2 and whatever I have written is correct. Okay, how many feel that I need to manipulate? How many feel that this has to be manipulated? Okay, Rashmi, you're saying to manipulate? Okay. What about others? Come on. Now, whenever I'm talking, what did I said about this? One employee, employee with respect to dependent, I will talk. With this, with respect to employee, I talk for this. So, employee will have one dependent. Dependent can have n number of employees. How is this possible? What's the right thing here? How is this correct? This should be n:1. One employee may have n number of dependents. Dependent will have only one as employee or parent. That is the manipulation required. Did you guys got this? See how I trick you, no? Guys, haven't you understood this?
No, sir.
No. Is this 1:n or n:1? Remember, whatever I write here, this is with respect to the dependents. Whatever I write here, this is with respect to employees. Okay, that only you understand. Everywhere in your design, we will write like this only. So employees will say what? Employees can have n number of dependents. Each dependent will have associated with how many employees? Children. For each employee there will be n number of children. Okay, but for each dependent, how many parents? Only one. So
Only one.
definitely it should be n:1. Okay, for each employee there will be n number of children. For each children there will be only one parent. Like this. Simple. Now in this, what will be the minimum value? What will be the maximum value? Understood? Whatever value we write here, that is with respect to the other side. Whatever value we write here, again, that is value with respect to the other side. Think on that sense and answer this. What will be the minimum value and what will be the maximum value? Yes? One or two answers before we go for the next concept. Yes?
1:1, sir. Minimum.
One,
Only
where
one
no?
parent.
You're talking about here or here? You're talking about dependent, na? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
This should be 1, 1. 1, 1, absolutely correct. What about here? The other side. Anybody say something, Baba? Again, this is very typical. Typical. Put your mind in this to answer. Again, this is simple, but think beyond. Little beyond. Anybody have the answer? For one parent, how many children there should be? Minimum how much? Maximum how much?
1 comma n.
1 comma n.
Some more answers. You are thinking correctly, but you are still in the box. N is absolutely correct. I give it to you. N is absolutely correct. But 1 has to be written in a different way. Think in different terms. Think beyond. Is there a specific
N minus
rule?
1.
Is there a specific rule that every employee should have a children?
0 comma
No,
n.
sir.
Very good. The answer is 0 comma n. Employee may not have children. That is one thing. Employee may or may not have children. So if they don't have, minimum value will be 0. If they have how many? Maximum n. Understood? Understood?
Yes, sir.
So, okay. So recursive role names are still left out. I think today I talked about things which are required in my further class. Don't worry. Okay. So any doubts before we go? Anyhow, you have time for you. It's time's up for your next class. Any doubts you have before we close? It's already time up. So thank you very much for today's class. If you have any doubts, you can talk, or I'll just wind up this. Shall I close? Any doubts you guys have?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, we'll wind up. We'll continue next class. Thank you so much. Thank you.